Hello, hello, yes, hello. So, welcome, friend. Today we are going to start a new subject. So, this is the introduction part of the new subject, that is called hydrology. As far as the competitive exam is concerned, the GATE exam is concerned, the weightage of mark in this subject, hydrology subject, is basically 5 to 6 mark. Okay. So now we should start the introduction part. So hydrology, if you understand what do you mean by hydrology, we need to separate this word. So first, if you separate this word, so if you separate this one, this is called hydro. So hydro is means what? This is water. So hydro is means water. Logi means what? Logi का मतलब है study. Okay, in Latin word it is called study. So basically we are here doing the study of water. Okay, we are here doing the study of water. Study of water. So hydrology, if you define, it is basically a science. It is basically a science, art of science, in which we actually do the study of water. If somebody will ask, what do you mean by study of water? So from science point of view, we can say study of H2O, 2 hydrogen molecule, 1 oxygen molecule. But as far as the engineering perspective is concerned, how can we define the study of water? Okay, so study of water actually we can define in engineering way in 4 ways. First one is called occurrence. Okay, first one is called, this is occurrence of the water. Second one is called how it will move, how it will occur, how the water is precipitating into the ground, onto the ground surface, how it will move. Second one is called movement. Third one is called distribution of the water, and last one is called circulation. We have to study this 4 part entire this topic. Okay, so hydrology, it basically it is deal with depletion. Depletion means disappear and replenishment. Replacement means reappear. Okay, it is basically deals with depletion and replenishment of water resource of the earth. Water resource means this is a resource, energy, water energy for the earth. Okay, and we are in this subject, we are actually study the water in 4 format. In first one is occurrence, movement, distribution and circulation of the water above the ground surface and below the ground surface and in the atmosphere. Okay, we are studying. So what is the objective of this topic? Why actually we are studying? Why? The objective of the subject, is to estimate the yield from a drainage basin. Yield means what? Basically this is we are finding out the discharge, or we are finding out the runoff. What is the runoff from a drainage basin? So drainage basin in US, that is called drainage basin. In India it is called as catchment. Okay, catchment. And in UK it is called as watershed. The rainfall is occurring in a particular catchment. After fulfilling all the losses in the catchment drains out excess amount of the rainfall. That excess amount of the rainfall, it is called as runoff. We have more focus or more concern about the runoff estimation. Okay, because that estimation of discharge is required to design the hydraulic structure, like dam, like spillway, like this reservoir. We are more used this runoff estimation for the design of the hydraulic structure part. So if you represent this one in a phase diagram, so basically precipitation is the input parameter. So this is the input parameter which precipitate onto a particular catchment. Catchment is a particular system. You just think of a system. This is the input, and in the system there is some losses will be there. Okay, some losses. What are the losses? Evaporation, infiltration, interception. Okay, but as far as the major losses is concerned, evaporation and infiltration is the major losses is taken into account in catchment. After fulfilling, after occurring of all the losses, catchment will drains excess amount of the water, and which finally enter into the outlet, which finally enter into a particular stream. That part of the water is called as runoff. Okay, that is called output. Okay, so input minus loss will be called output. Out is runoff. So what is the application of this subject? What is the application of the hydrology? We are actually dealing with design of the hydraulic structure. When you are going to design any hydraulic structure like dam, like bridge, so there we have first input parameter we require is discharge. What is the discharge in the river? Based upon the discharge we calculate the scouring depth. Okay, so when you are designing the hydraulic structure, that is the application. Flow control and management. Okay, suppose upstream flow hydrograph we know, so we want to route the hydrograph in downstream. Okay, so there is a flow routing technique is there. That is the application of the hydrology. Okay, third application, irrigation. Irrigation means how, when you are designing any particular canal to supply the water to a irrigation area, so the amount of water, the amount of discharge required in a particular canal, that is on depend upon the how much losses are there, evaporation losses, how much infiltration, seepage losses. Okay, so all losses will be calculated from this hydrology point of view. Okay, so many applications are there. Municipal, pollution, drought management. Suppose in a particular area the precipitation amount is very less, so how we can store the water for future perspective so that the additional water will be used when there is a deficiency in water. That management will be done by this hydrology. Okay, so more we can say there is a huge application of this hydrology part in a practical point of view. So next we are going to talk about the water resource of the earth. What is the water resource? How much water is actually stored in a earth? Okay, what is the resource? Total amount of water is available in earth. So total water is available in earth, that is 1380 million kilometer cube. This is the volume of the water available in earth. Out of the 97.2% of the water is called as saline water, which is not we can use, not for use. Saline water we cannot use. So out of the 97.2%, only 2.8% of the water available as fresh water. That also cannot be used to fully. So out of 2.8%, only 2.15% of the water is already locked in polar ice caps in the form of ice. Okay, which already locked in glacier, that is also we cannot use. So only 0.32% out of this 2.8% of the water, that is also stored in deep groundwater, which also is very difficult to use. Means that is, you can imagine, that is already stored in 800 meter below the ground. Okay, so moreover the 0.33% of the water that is available for consumption, So 0.33% of total water available is called as fresh water, and that water can be available for human and for his consumption. Okay, so if you find out 0.33% of 1380 million kilometer cube, that is coming out with 4.5 million kilometer cube. So this is the amount of water which is available for human consumption out of 1380 million kilometer cube. So how water is important to one, you can imagine from this resource, the idea. Okay, so now world annual average precipitation is generally 100 centimeter. Okay, so this is the depth of the rainfall, that is world annual average precipitation. But as per our country point of view, what is the water resource available in India, we should know. Okay, so annual average precipitation of India, that is 119.4 centimeter. Okay, this is the annual average precipitation. This is the depth of the rainfall. Annually it is happening. What is the geographical area of our country? Geographical area of country is 3.28 into 10 to the power 6 kilometers square. So out of this, if you find out the volume of the water we receive from the nature, how much amount of water we receive from the nature, that is the area into depth of the rainfall. Basically that is area into how much depth of the rainfall. So that is 3.28 into 10 to the power 6 meter square, and this is meter wide, and we are converting into the kilometer. So this is the amount of water we are receiving from the nature, 3916 kilometer cube. So if you include the snowfall, approximately that is coming out to be 4000 kilometer cube of water we are receiving from the nature. Now if you consider the evaporation loss, this is the loss part. So that is 700 kilometer cube volume of water is evaporating from the to the atmosphere. We cannot use that one. And amount of water soak into the ground. Okay, the amount of water which is inflated into the ground, that is this is 2150 kilometer cube of water. So what is the net water available? If you find the net of water available, that is 1150 kilometer cube of water is available for us as a fresh water. Okay, now if you find out what is the percentage, how much percentage of water available, percentage of world fresh water available with India. If you find out what is the percentage of fresh water available with respect to world fresh water, that is coming out to be only 0.025%. Okay, this is India and this is world. So 0.025 percentage of water with respect to world fresh water is available in our country. Okay, so water is very important resource for us. So we should use the water in a better way. We cannot lose the water, we can use the water in an effective way. Now the hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle is a term which actually we are studying from our +2 point of view, +2 and matriculation. So hydrological cycle basically it is called as water cycle. Okay, water circulatory cycle. So water circulatory cycle means, so this is the ground. From this ground the water is evaporating. Due to the temperature, the water is evaporating and it is going to the atmosphere, and after it will adiabatically it will condense, again it will come as a precipitation onto the ground surface. So now this is a cyclic system. Okay, the cyclic system, water is going from the ground, again it is coming back to the ground. Now this is, you see, this is a reservoir. Okay, this is the basic small storage, and here is the reservoir will be there. So from this reservoir the water is going in the form of evaporation into the atmosphere. Okay, first is input is precipitation, then the output, the losses are evaporation from the surface, the water body, as well as the evaporation from the land. Okay, and there is transpiration, means the water also leaving from the leaves of the plant, that is called transpiration. Okay, and the third one is called water soak into the ground. Okay, this water is coming going to the atmosphere in the form of evaporation. Again this is the precipitation which is coming into the ground, and the water is which is leaving from the plant leaf, that is called transpiration. And the water which is coming on the when it is falling onto this surface of the earth, immediately it is going onto the earth surface, that is called infiltration. Okay, this is the infiltration part. So moreover, we are all dealing with the hydrological cycle component in detail in further lecture. Okay, so first we will study about the input parameter, then we will study about the losses parameter, then we will study about the output parameter. What is the input parameter? Precipitation we will study in detail, then we will study about the losses, the evaporation, transpiration, evapotranspiration, infiltration, all losses we will study in detail. In the last part, output of the catchment, that is called runoff. or discharge, that is we are going to see in detail in the next slide. So these are the component of the hydrologic cycle. So this is the input parameter. We are going to see or going to study in detail about the precipitation, and this is the input parameter. Okay, this is the input to the catchment, and this evaporation and infiltration, these are called as, this is the losses. Okay, losses from the catchment. Evaporation means what? The water is vaporizing into the atmosphere and again it is going to the atmosphere. Transpiration, the water is leaving from the plant leaves. Okay, when the plant use the water, that is called evaporation. Transpiration. Evapotranspiration means this is the sum of land evaporation and plant evaporation. Infiltration is what? When the water is falling onto the ground, immediately it will, based upon the soil moisture deficiency, the water is going into the soil, that is called infiltration. And last one is called runoff. This is the output part, output of the catchment. The catchment will drain the constant amount of rainfall into a stream. Okay, that is called runoff. So today we'll talk about the precipitation part in detail. So precipitation means, many students think precipitation is the this is actually a rainfall. No, precipitation actually, there is different form of the moisture which reaching from the atmosphere to the ground. Okay, so precipitation denotes it is all the form of moisture which reaching the ground from where? From atmosphere. Now the question will come to our mind, what are the various form of the precipitation? So there is various form of the precipitation are there. The first one we always call this barish, rainfall. We love rain. So rainfall. Second one is called drizzle, fine sprinkling of the water, drizzle. Snow, little bit diameter snow, I think you already, snowfall you have seen. Okay, Himalaya, like Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir, snowfall. Sleet, this is the large size dense snow, and hail is the very large size of the snow. Okay, and dew, I think it is already known to you, that is the small water which is accumulating on the surface. Okay, that is called dew. Okay, so first we will talk about the rainfall. So rainfall, it is represented by free. It is throughout our lecture we represented it by P, rainfall. So rainfall, when it is called a rainfall, when the water droplet size it is more than 0.5 mm. Okay, you remember this one, water droplet size more than 0.5 mm, and the intensity of the rainfall it is more than 1 mm per hour, then we can call this rainfall. So what do you mean by intensity? Intensity means the amount of rain. Amount of rain means you can the amount of rain which occur in a particular period of time, that is called intensity. So rate of rainfall or rainfall intensity is actually we talk about in detail next topic. So I will be equal to P by T, or the change in precipitation with change in time period. Okay, dP by dt. Now again we classify rain into various types of rain. Okay, first we understood what is rain. Okay, yes, it is droplet is greater than 0.5 mm. Yes, intensity is more than 1 mm per hour. But which one is called as light rain? Which one is called as moderate rain? Which one is called as heavy rainfall? So basic on type of the rain, again the intensity, based upon the intensity we can classify the type of rain. So if the intensity of the rainfall it is in between this 1 mm per hour to 2 mm per hour, that one is called as light rainfall. Okay, if the intensity of the rainfall it is 2 mm per hour to 7.5 mm per hour, that one is called as moderate rainfall. If the rainfall is intensity is more than 7.5 mm per hour, that one is called as heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall, I think when somebody will ask from the engineering point of view, which one is called as heavy rainfall? Sir, we can say the heavy rainfall from the engineering perspective point of view when the intensity of the rainfall is more than 7.5 mm per hour, then it is called as heavy rainfall. When it is in between 2.5 to 7.5, that is called moderate. When the intensity of rainfall 1 mm to 2.5, that is called light rain. Okay, fine. Then we'll talk about the drizzle. Drizzle is a form of the precipitation which occur in the form of fine sprinkling of water drop. you can see in the movies there is fine sprinkling of the water drops are happening in a scene, that is called as a drizzle. Okay, drizzle, the water droplet size is less than 0.5 mm. Okay, so you can imagine the water droplet size less than 0.5 and the intensity is less than 1 mm per hour, very less intensity, that is called drizzle. Now we are going to talk about next type of the rainfall. This is called as snow. Okay, snow is so precipitation in the form of fine ice crystal, or what is the size of the ice crystal? That is less than 1 mm. If less than 1 mm, that is called as snowfall. Okay, Jammu Kashmir, you can see snowfall. And the density, what is the density? The 0.1 gram per cc. The density of the snow must be 0.1 gram per cc. Okay, sleet is what? It is also a form of ice crystal, but it is a larger size. This is a frozen rain, we can call it. So it is size, actually the snow size, it is between 1 mm to 5 mm. Okay, 1 mm to 5 mm. Hail is again larger size. So hail is the large lump of ice crystal. So this is a large lump of ice crystal. Okay, so what is the size? This is more than 8 mm. Okay, if it would strike to a human will die. So very large size of the ice crystal, that is called as hail. The last form of the precipitation is called as dew. Dew is what? The vapor which accumulated during the daytime in the atmosphere, and the night time it will condense and deposit on the ground as a small fine water moisture, that is called as dew. Okay, so you can see in the morning, so when you wake up, so this is the grass. Okay, this is the grass. There is some small moisture will be written on the ground, that is called as dew. Okay, this is also a form of the precipitation. Now we talk about the form of the precipitation. Now we should understand what are the types of the precipitation, what are the basic types. Okay, the first type of the precipitation is called as, this one is convective precipitation. Second type, this is convective precipitation. This precipitation, you just remember, it is generally occur due to the temperature difference. Okay, due to temperature difference. Orographic precipitation, that is generally occur due to the mountain barrier. Okay, due to the mountain barrier will be there, then there will be orographic precipitation will be occur. And this frontal precipitation generally occur due to the front. There is front means what is the interface between the warm air mass and cold air mass. So this is generally occur due to the mixing of the front. Okay, cyclonic precipitation, that is generally occurs, that is due to the low pressure. Cyclone is another low pressure difference, we can say. And precipitation due to turbulent ascent, that is generally occur due to the turbulent layer is present, that is a turbulent layer present. So first we talk about the convective precipitation. So first we talk about the convective precipitation. So convective precipitation generally this is occur due to the temperature difference. How the temperature increasing? Due to the presence of sun. So sun, there is a heat is coming and it is hitting the air parcel which is nearer to the ground surface. Okay, this is the ground, and this air parcel has a temperature is called temperature of the air parcel, and this is the temperature of the surrounding. So when the temperature of the air parcel is more than temperature of the surrounding, it is rises, then it is expand, and it is adiabatically condensed, and again then will precipitate onto the ground. Okay, this type of precipitation which occur due to the temperature difference in between the air parcel and surrounding temperature, that type of precipitation is called as convective precipitation. So convective precipitation occurs due to the heating of the ground and the temperature difference between moist air above the ground and its surrounding. Okay, and what is the example of the convective precipitation? The summer rain is the example of the precipitation, convective precipitation. Now we are the rainfall which you are feeling right now, that is called convective precipitation, and high intensity of the rainfall you can see intensity will be equal to depth of the rainfall by duration of the rainfall. If the intensity will be very high, the duration of the rainfall will be less. Okay, so high intensity of the rain occur for shorter period of the time. Okay, so you can see when the high intensity of the rainfall will be there occurring, you can, for your sense, you can say that the duration of the rainfall is going to be less. Okay, now orographic precipitation is that when this precipitation will occur when there is a barrier, mountain barrier or topographic barrier will be there, then this type of precipitation will be occur. So this is the wind. The wind is blowing in this direction, and the moist air parcel, moist air means there is some moisture will be there. Okay, and when it will coming and it will strike with a topographic barrier, a mountain hill will be there, what will happen? Again it will rises, again it will rises and it will expand, it will rise, and this will be expand, and this will be adiabatically cools, and it will precipitate. Okay, so this type of precipitation generally occur due to the presence of the topographic barrier. What is the example of the orographic precipitation? So the rainfall which occurred at Himalaya side, okay, Himalaya side, Western Ghats side, okay, that are the basic example of the orographic precipitation. Himalaya side, Himalaya region will be, the precipitation is called as orographic precipitation. So in orographic precipitation, the rainfall intensity is not very high, it is moderate, and the duration of rainfall is high, very long period. So if the intensity will decrease, duration obviously it will increase. So a orographic precipitation, moderate intensity of rainfall occurs for very long period of time. Okay, so that is what I told. It is written moist air parcel due to the orographic or topographic barrier, it is rises up, then it is expand, then it will condense and adiabatically cools. Adiabatically cools means every 100-meter rise the temperature will decrease 1 degree. Okay, that is adiabatically cools, and then it will precipitate. This type of precipitation is called as orographic precipitation. The precipitation occurs only due to the presence of topographic barrier. This is a very important objective question. So the precipitation which occur due to the presence of the topographic barrier, that is called orographic precipitation. So next type of precipitation is called as frontal precipitation. So frontal precipitation means the front is the interface between two air mass. So front is the interface between two air mass. This is the one warm air mass, or this is cold air mass. So this interface, this is the interface, this interface is called as front. Okay, so first category of the frontal precipitation is called as warm air frontal precipitation. So warm air means the warm air is in motion and the cold air is in static, it is not moving. Okay, so when it is flowing in this direction, and when it strike, this is called front, this is the interface. Okay, so what will happen? Warm air generally it is weaker. Okay, generally it is weaker and less dense, but cold air is more stronger, more dense. So there is possibility that there is a most chances, most possibilities there, this warm air will be rise. Okay, the warm air will rise, cold air will not rise, it is more dense, more stronger. So warm air will rise and it will moves and it will expand, same adiabatically cools and precipitate. So this type of precipitation is called as warm air frontal precipitation. Second category of front precipitation is called as cold air frontal precipitation. So cold air frontal precipitation, the cold air is in motion and the warm air is in static. Okay, the warm air is not moving. When the cold air is moving in this direction, okay, when it strike, okay, when it will strike, there is most chances are there the cold air will be remain in static condition. As it is stronger, as it is more denser, the warm air will be rise. Okay, always the warm air will, because it is less dense. Okay, again it will rise, again it will expand, adiabatically cools and precipitate. So that type of precipitation is called as cold air frontal precipitation. So basically what is the example? We can live example we can see. So basically the rainfall during the rainfall season, okay, the rainfall during this rainfall season, it is the example of the frontal precipitation. Okay, The fourth type of precipitation is called as cyclonic precipitation. So what is cyclone? Cyclone is a large area, okay, large area of low pressure region. Okay, it's a very large area and very low pressure region. So then this is a water body. In this water body, what will happen? The pressure of the water body is very less as compared to the ground. Okay, the ground means surrounding pressure. So what will happen? From the surrounding, the moisture and wind, the moisture along with this wind air will rushes into this water body, and it will flow into this water body, and due to the Coriolis force, Coriolis force means rotation of the force which causes the rotation of the earth. Due to the Coriolis force, what will happen? It will move. It will just move like this. Okay, it will move, and it is called swirl motion. Okay, swirl motion, and finally it will throw the rain and water a very high speed in a particular region. Okay, so this kind of precipitation generally is called as cyclonic precipitation. So this is actually water body we are talking about. This is Indian Ocean, in which there is a low pressure region will be there. What will happen? From the surrounding high pressure region, the air along with the moisture is flowing into this water body, into Indian Ocean, and due to the Coriolis forces, it is moving in anti-clockwise direction with a very high speed. Finally it will precipitate in the form of very high speed air and rainfall. Okay, so this is generally occur due to the difference in pressure, Okay, so the earth consists of two parts. First is north hemisphere, south hemisphere, and most of the human we are living in this north hemisphere. Okay, and in north hemisphere, the wind direction, the rotation of this wind, and wind actually moves in anti-clockwise direction. And in south hemisphere, the wind actually moves in clockwise direction. So the best example to see whether we are living in north hemisphere or south hemisphere, you just open the water tap, okay, water basin, and see the water how it is moving. Then you can imagine whether you are staying in north hemisphere or south hemisphere. So the next is, so already I told you that during cyclone, what will happen? The wind motion at north hemisphere is inward and anti-clockwise wind motion. So during this cyclone, what will happen? The air which the wind is moving in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, and inward in motion. You can see in news channel always it is moving in anti-clockwise direction. And who is actually happening this? The force behind this rotation is due to the Coriolis force. What is Coriolis force? The Coriolis force is the force caused by rotation of the earth. Due to the rotation of the earth, this cyclone is take a shape of swirl motion, and it will rises. Finally it will precipitate in the form very high speed wind and water in a particular area of region. Okay, that is called cyclonic precipitation, which occurs due to the pressure difference. So last one is called precipitation due to turbulent ascent. So this is the water body is there, water body in which the moist air is flowing, and there is a turbulent layer will be there. Some thickness of the turbulent layer will be there. When the air masses will become, and it will rises. Okay, it will go strike this turbulent layer thickness, again it will rise, expand, and adiabatically cools, and it will precipitate. This type of precipitation is called turbulent precipitation due to turbulent ascent layer. What is the example of this one? The example of the turbulent ascent layer precipitation is winter rains in coastal area. Coastal area, the winter rain in winter season. What is the rain happening in coastal area? That is one example of precipitation due to turbulent ascent. Now, what is the rainfall season in India? So basically rainfall season, the main prominent region, the very important region is called monsoon period. Okay, so main very important period is called monsoon period. That is the duration is May last week to October first week. Okay, and this is called as in our country principal rainy season. Okay, principal rainy season. Most of the rainfall we are getting in this duration only. So 90% of the country receive rainfall during this period, except what is the state, one Tamil Nadu and Jammu and Kashmir. It will not actually feel, or it will not receive rainfall during this monsoon period, only Tamil Nadu and Jammu and Kashmir. So what is the reason behind this monsoon period? Because of the southwest wind. Southwest wind is flowing, and this will cause the rains during this period. Okay, second rainfall season is called as after monsoon period, that is called post monsoon period. So monsoon period, it is ending on October first week, and the post monsoon period is starting on November first week, and it is ending December first week. Okay, it is only for 1 month. Okay, and during this post monsoon period, the one state that is called Tamil Nadu, okay, Tamil Nadu southern peninsula region, that region will receive the rainfall. What is the reason? Due to the northeast wind direction, it will cause the rain. Okay, it will cause the rain. So third monsoon period, a third rainfall season is called winter rain. Winter rain, actually, that is the duration is from December last week to February last week, 2 months duration. And in this duration, Jammu and Kashmir receive the rainfall and also snowfall. Okay, so Jammu and Kashmir will receive the rainfall during this winter rains, and during the post monsoon period, Tamil Nadu will receive the rainfall. Okay, so next we'll talk about how we can measure the rainfall. Okay, so we can measure the rainfall or measure the precipitation by equivalent depth of the water. Okay, what is the vertical depth of the water? We measure the precipitation in the form of depth of the water. So suppose this is the rainfall which is occurring in the particular level ground, and this is the depth of the rainfall. Okay, so this rainfall is measured by measuring the depth of the water which is retained on the level surface. If we measure the depth of the water, that is called as rainfall. Okay, so rainfall is measured by using some devices. Okay, by using some devices. The devices is called as rain gauges. Okay, rain gauges, and many different names are there. Some are called as the rain gauge. Okay, somebody call it, some books it is written as umbrometer. In some books it is written pluviometer. In some book it is written hytometer. So these are the device which are used to measure the depth of the rainfall, or which are used to measure the rainfall or precipitation. Okay, so there are basically two types of the rain gauge are there. Okay, two types of the rain gauge. First one is called as non-recording rain gauge. Okay, and second one is called as recording rain gauge. So non-recording rain gauge is called basic model, not very advanced model, or that is basic model are there. But recording type of rain gauge, that is one called sophisticated model. Sophisticated model means not required to go to the field manually to measure the depth of the rainfall. But non-recording type of rain gauge, you have to go to the manually to the field or to the location where it is kept, and you have to measure, and you have to everything up to do manually. Recording automatically it will do. Okay, so if somebody will ask what is the example of the non-recording type of rain gauge, so there are two types of. Okay, so basically there are two types of the non-recording type of rain gauge, that is called Simon rain gauge, very important. So this is Simon rain gauge and Indian Standard or Indian Meteorological Department rain gauge. These are called non-recording type of rain gauge. Okay, non-recording gauge, Simon rain gauge and Indian Standard Meteorological Department rain gauge. Okay, and what is Simon rain gauge? And we talk about the Simon and Indian Standard rain gauge measure the volume of the water collected. Generally it measure the volume of the rainfall water which is collected in the rain gauge. Okay, how much volume of the water is collected, and we calculate the depth of the rainfall. How? Because the volume of the rain water is collected in the rain gauge, we measure in that rain gauge, and the surface area already we know, surface area of the collector we already know. Okay, and surface area or plan area, that is called cross section area, or different name are there. We can call the surface area or cross section area of the collector. If you want to see Simon area, this is the diameter of the collector. Okay, this one the diameter of the collector, this is 12.7 centimeter, and this part is called as collector, and this is a metallic container will be there. Okay, metallic container. In this metallic container we kept a receiver. Okay, here is a funnel kind of where is rainfall is happening, and we are collecting this rainfall in this receiver. What is the capacity of the receiver? That is, it can collect 1 to 2 liter of the rainfall water, and this total height is 30 centimeter, and it is mounted over a concrete. This is a concrete block. It is mounted on a concrete block having a size of 60 into 60 into 60 mm. Okay, centimeter, I think you just check it. So what is the diameter of the collector? With the diameter of the collector is 12.7 centimeter. Simon rain gauge consists of 3 parts. First one is collector, second one is receiver, and this one is funnel. Okay, so what is the area? You find that area will be how much? This is pi by 4 into this is 12.7 square. We find out the area. Volume of the water we collected divided by this one, that is called depth of the rainfall. So this is Simon rain gauge. This is actually called non-recording rain gauge. So in next class, okay, we finish this Indian meteorological rain gauge also. So this is Indian meteorological rain gauge. So Indian meteorological rain gauge, it is also called as non-recording rain gauge. Here the area of the collector is in between this 100 to 200 centimeter square. It is similar to Simon rain gauge only, but it can store depth of the water up to 100 mm to 1000 mm of rainfall. It can be stored in this particular receiver. Okay, so this is the, you see, this is the area of the collector. This is 100 to 200 centimeters square, and FRP container will be there. In between receiver, which is can contain, that is earlier 1 to 2 liter, it can contain 1 to 10 liters of the water. Yes, it is see, the concrete block has a size that is kept on this concrete block. You can see the 3D, I think you can imagine. So this is 60, 60 and 60, length 60, width 60, height is 60. It is kept and it is placed. If it is not placed in concrete block, somebody will come, it will steal that one. Okay, in order to avoid that one. So recording type of rain gauge are there. There is 4 types of that. First one is called as wagging bucket type. Second one is called typic bucket. Third one siphon bucket, siphon rain gauge, and radar measurement. So if you ask me, sir, which rain gauge we are actually basically using in our country, that is called siphon rain gauge. Siphon rain gauge actually we are using in our country, meaning India. We are using siphon rain gauge. Okay, so in next class we will talk about in detail in this recording type of rain gauge. So I hope you enjoy this lecture. If you enjoy this lecture, please like and share this video with your friends. If you like, it will give a motivation to me. Thank you. Have a good night.